Thank you. Now just, is that forward? Yep. Oh, well, thank you everyone for coming along. Yes, this story is about Vertex Minerals. We have probably had a rough start. We only listed about 1.5 months ago, or a few months ago, and we were a spin out, and a lot of people thought that it was some free money to sell. As you can see from this slide, our market cap is actually higher than what it is today. That was on the 8th. That has been a bit of a sell down today. So we're almost capped at the same price as we got cash in the bank. So, and it's a pretty tight structure. So this is one that could pop. Three really good directors. We're all very familiar with this country. Spent a lot of time in this particular part of the world, which happens to be just north of Bathurst. I'm actually only going to talk about the Hill End project because it's probably our flagship project. It's certainly our nearest to production, and in my view, it's a big story. Our other WA gold and nickel stories are quite good, but today there's only time to talk about Hill End. Hill End has an amazing history. Probably many of you have visited Hill End. It is now also a tourist type of town, but it's significant in the sense that 1.8 million ounces high grade has been taken out of there, and we hold mining leases over it and Hargraves. At the moment, under exploration licences and mining licences, which we have dozens of, we have 14 kilometres of strike. That's nearly been mined, I guess, on surface for the whole length of that 14 kilometres. We've just recently picked up, we've applied for another 20 kilometres to the south. So we'll have something like sort of 35 kilometres of the Hill End anticline. At Hill End, we've got a resource at Red Hill of around 80,000 ounces at 1.7 grams. We are starting to drill there at the end of this month, and watch this space. I'm sure we'll add to that resource. We're also actually resourcing the Reward, which is underground, which was a high-grade area of Hill End, and that resource will come out towards the end of July. And at Hargraves, we've got 2.3 million tonnes at 2.38 grams for 177,000 ounces. It's somewhat interesting in the sense that there's a lot of similarities to other geologically similar deposits around Australia, in particular Bendigo and Ballarat and the Fosterville deposit. We've had 5 mineralising events at Hill End. They tend to be repetitive and tend to occur along the reversed faults, and they're part of, as I said, an anticline or syncline, and they trend north with compression from the east and west, giving those faults, which are very important, and that's where the gold, the higher grade gold sits. We know that they are repetitive. We've seen that now because there was trial mining in 2008. We also know they plunge, and what we've been doing in the last couple of months is paying some of the best we know in this game on working this out through modelling, and we've got some very good models that we've produced. In the corner of this slide, you can see part of what we were doing with this modelling is plotting where the high grade was, and in particular where the old timers were. If you look where that pink sort of asterisk is there, that's where the Holtermann nugget came out. That's the largest piece of gold ever to be brought out of underground globally ever, at 268 kilograms. And if you move down, you'll see all the purple dots. They're all sort of, tens of ounce samples from underground. That particular small area around where Holtermann nugget came out was probably one of the highest grade mining areas in Australia. Just that particular area produced 425,000 ounces at 300 grams a tonne, so it's extremely high grade. We know that ours Hill End's hosted in turbidite and sandstone siltstones, like Fosterville is. We know that we've got an east-west compression to produce the folding, and we also know that also had some effects on the faulting. And we know also have these laminar quartz veining that goes up where the high grade sits along these faults, and when they hit the change in lithology. And those faults are westerly dipping, so you can see those two diagrams of the similarities. And the reason why I was sort of dwelling on that is because they only scratched the surface at Hill End. This is a big system, as I said, up to 30 kilometres long. We know there's 14 kilometres of strike that we know that there's mining and been on. Most of it was down to about 60 foot where the water table was. The deepest is a shaft down to 300 metres, and the bulk of that gold came out of an area of about 1,200 feet length, 400 feet deep, and produced a massive amount of gold, including areas like this Cromann's little batch where he pulled out a tonne of gold out of 436 tonnes. That's 24,000 ounces he pulled out. That's 56 ounces per tonne. Paxton's also with 2 tonnes of quartz, he crushed 4,200 ounces. This is high grade mining at its best, I think. And you can see that we're looking at this plunging system, and it's repetitive, and another future slide will show this. Again, like previous speakers, I've had to pull some of the numbers out of this slide because we haven't, with the rules the way they are, and I had some high grade intersections to sort of talk about here. But anyway, these are the sort of intersections that we have that are unmined. We've from previous historic drilling that we are preparing to target. Just around that amalgamated, they, as I said, they mined 425,000 ounces at 30 grams. We believe this plunges to the north. And as I said, it's a repetitive system, and they're stacked. The slide after will show. The slide on the right just shows the Hill End component of our leases, and then the little inset there with the bright colours, that's where we've got the extension application in with the pink. So we just sit along that anticline, and most of these lodes, as I said, are only mined down to the water table, so it's very, very shallow. We're doing some other work. We've got a LiDAR going out there which will map really define the surface works, and we're starting some drilling as well at Red Hill, but that will then move to Mare's Nest and probably to Reward. So just to put it in perspective, when I talk about scratching the surface, if you put Fosterville, which is the background, and then Hill End, the whole Hill End, 1.8 million ounces, you can see where it sits, and it's only at the top 300. There's plenty to go in this, and that's the aim of Vertex, is to draw that out. As I said, they're repetitious. Again, looking back to that little area that we're talking about where Hill End is, you can see it where the Hawkins Hill workings are. There are some deep holes that we do know that these repetitions happen. They're like stacked, and we need to be able to define those. Look, the reality is it won't be simple. These are sort of small, very high-grade pods, but once they're stacked, we may be able to mine these in a bigger scale, and that's something we're working on as well, as mining in a larger scale. But in the shorter term, we have a couple of open pits that can turn us a lot of money. The reason why it can turn us a lot of money is this Hill End is reasonably unique in the sense that we can recover our gold at 90% recovery to gravity. In fact, the previous trial mining was at 95%. We've got a gravity plant there that they use for that trial. It's easy to expand that, as people know that in the industry, gravity is very low, the lowest of the capex of any processing route. It also is very low with the operational costs, and we have, I guess, enough resource up front that we can start making some cash earlier on, whilst we look for the big loads. So our strategy with Hill End is to move to production, as I said, and to build on these high-grade ounces and to build a world-class mine. We're only 40 kilometres away from Cadia. We're in the Lachlan Fold Belt, where we know there's a big driver of gold coming from the Lachlan. We understand what we're doing. It's just we have to work hard to get it, and we'll build on those ounces. So the first things we're looking at is to get into Red Hill. We're drilling it first. We resource it up. We've already started resourcing Reward. Mare's Nest, we've been down there. It's at 750 metres at least exposed on the surface, and it didn't get mined because of logistics back in the day. It was too far away from the batteries, the government batteries or the private batteries up at Hill End, and the country's pretty rugged. So that's an ideal target. The story's there. We're looking forward to drilling that one. And of course, Hargraves is also a high-grade deposit that's 35 k's away from Red Hill and on that same line of load. Then, of course, the underground side of it needs to be developed, and Hawkins Hill's the main area to focus on initially. But of course, all these other deposits like Red Hill, Mare's Nest and Hargraves have the potential underground for these extremely high-grade deposits. So as I said, we are a gravity miner, and I guess that comes with some bonuses in days like these, where we're now starting to talk about environmentally and sustainable mining. Gravity recoverable gold doesn't require any chemicals. There's no cyanide. It's very low water use. The capex of building a plant's very low. In fact, it's we've got a plant that's mostly exists. We'll need to do some further additions to it, and there'll be some cost, but it's minimal. We only need to grind to about 200 microns. Some of it is even higher. That's on the primary grind, and I won't get technical talking about there is a bit of a regrind to get the last sort of 5 or 10%. We've got a wind farm that's nearby. We are talking to them about using their power. We can use pump storage because we do have the shafts where we can store the water and let it out when we don't have wind. And the tails are, so far are benign. We've got to do a bit more testing, but generally speaking, they're benign tails, and we may be able to tap into a sand sail into Sydney or something, because it could be potentially commercial as well. So we're definitely pushing the fact that we are environmentally and sustainably mining, and our story is about getting into production and getting shareholder value. And as you can see, take a look, on the website. I'm not lying to you that we've only got a market cap of less than $5 million. It's quite extraordinary. So we can talk you through it at booth 5, and thank you very much again.